I'm Amadeo Saenz. I'm a University of Texas graduate. I went to school at the University of Texas from 1974 to 1977. After that, I went to work for the Texas Department of Transportation. And I've worked for TxDOT for 34 years. I worked my way up through TxDOT from an engineering assistant to a maintenance engineer to a construction engineer, an area engineer, district engineer, state's chief engineer, and finally the last 4 years of my career I was the executive director of the Texas Department of Transportation. I retired in 2011 after 34 years, and then have started working now with a construction company. Part of my education and part of my finances, I was able to did some work study, and I did some work study at the Department of Civil Engineering, and I was able to get involved in a couple of projects that the graduate students were doing for research. And that's kind of the beginnings of my education into the research arena. Two projects that I remember is I was working for Dr. Freddie Roberts, and then he had a research project that they were looking at carbon monoxide entering into the body of vehicles. So research is you do a lot of data collection to find out if there is a problem, and then once you identify the problem, you come up with recommendations on how to solve that problem. So we spend a lot of countless hours driving up and down I-35 and on the frontage roads and measuring carbon monoxide levels inside the vehicles, of all different kinds. So we wanted to find out, is there one vehicle that is more susceptible than that? So that was one project. In fact, that research project we even did because the word of mouth got out, and we did a short flight on a little private plane between Austin and San Marcos to measure to see if there was CO2 coming into the cockpit of an airplane. Of course, the other research work that I did is we did a lot of work with Dr. McCullough and airport analysis to determine kind of the flow of people in and out of the airport, and because that you could then use that data to come up with optimum sizing for terminals, for gateways, for ticketing spaces. So that's what got me kind of during the university time, helped me pay for my education, which was very important to me at the time, but it got me started into looking and identifying how important research is. Of course, as you go to the university and you go through all of your coursework and you get a lot of theory. But I think the work that I did during my time at the university that allowed me to get into real world projects, allowed me to start preparing me for when I did graduate and started working to be able to apply the same techniques, the same methods to solve some of the issues and problems that we ran into as we started in my career with TxDOT. And so, I kind of, part of my career with TxDOT, I did a lot of work in the area of maintenance. And in maintenance, a lot of times you have a maintenance plan of what you want to accomplish, but there is always something that happens or something that does not work well. Well, we can go back and then we would research as to whatever function it was did not work well, and then it allowed us to basically make some corrections and then watch it work. Dr. Hudson was my advisor when I came into the university, and of course he was one of the leaders of the civil engineering department. Dr. Lee, Dr. Ned Burns, in the area of structural steel, he was one of my professors. Dr. Breen in the area of concrete. All of these professors basically became leaders in their particular area. Had a lot of friends that we went to school with, and some of them continued and stayed on and got their masters, and in fact some of them got their PhDs from the university because of some of these leaders, such as Dr. Breen and Dr. Furlong and Dr. Burns. So we were very fortunate to be able to work with them, and then not only attend their classes and be part of the learning process, but also work with them on some projects in some shape or form. And then, of course, after I left and became my career with TxDOT, as we got into doing some research in the area of structures, and you would go back and you would see that Dr. Breen was the professor that was leading the research for this particular concrete structural item. And so it kind of ties everything back. I would say that I think the transportation field still amazes me. it still, makes me want to get up in the morning and come to work. I've retired from TxDOT. I was off for 2 months, and I went back to work, and I went to work for a company that's in the transportation field, doing construction. But I think that is a field that is so vast, so wide, that you can probably find a small area that you're interested in. And if that doesn't, if then that basically your interest is piqued at that point, you can move into other areas that will continue. I think that the students should look into not just going to school and taking classes and studying, but if you can get involved in some research that allows you to look at some real life evaluation of a product or a process, that will only help you and prepare you for when you graduate and you're starting to, in essence, starting to work and to produce, the product or produce a process.